Hi guys, welcome to Software Jobs Training, and we are on week 4, day 4. In this session we are going to talk about DOM. Basically, DOM stands for Document Object Model, and it is the representation of HTML elements that are displayed on a browser's window. The objects present in the DOM are actually organized in a hierarchical structure, so that is similar to a tree. As you can see this in this image, we have the window on the root of this tree. So window is the browser window that you have opened, and it has multiple nodes named as history, document, location. This node document basically has all the HTML elements that you can use inside the body tag to show output on the screen. So it can have links, forms, anchors, images, tables, and all the HTML tags. So let us go to the slide number 2 now. So we are on slide number 2 now. HTML DOM has methods and properties just like a normal JavaScript object. We can change these properties and methods using JavaScript, and this is called DOM manipulation using JS. For that, first of all, we will have a div with some ID, and we will just write in some text, and basically what we will do is we will change this text by JavaScript. Okay, so for that, first of all, we'll have to reference this in the JavaScript. So this has the ID, and to reference it in JavaScript, I'll go to the script tag, and inside it we will write document, which is the parent node, and inside it I need to fetch the element using getElement by ID. Inside the parentheses and double quotes, you need to put the ID of the div that you're trying to pull in, and then you put the dot, and here we can set the property of inner HTML is equal to some text. Okay, so this will help us manipulating the text inside the some div. Okay, we'll be seeing this in live editor, so let me just go to the slide number 3. There are multiple ways to actually access the elements in JavaScript. Okay, the very basic one is actually fetching up the elements using ID. For that, we will have to write document.getElement by ID, and here we need to write out the ID that we are trying to fetch up. Otherwise, what we can do is we can find the elements using tag name. So right ahead we can just type out the tag name like div h1 h3, so it will basically fetch all the h1s or h3, all the tags that you have written inside this one. So all of those tags will be fetched. Otherwise, if you want to fetch them using class name, you can just use getElements by class name. Okay, now let me just go ahead to the live editor. Alright, so we are going to create a new file and call it dom.html. Here we have our file ready. So I'll be getting rid of the comment and write out some JavaScript and HTML code. And inside our body, I'll create a new div with an ID of my div, and inside it I'm writing that hi, this is my div. Okay, let me just save this up and try to run this. As you can see that there's an output of the text that we had written inside the div. So it is just showing up normally. Now let us just try to manipulate this using JavaScript and try to edit the DOM. For that, I'll just start a script tag, and this time I'm starting it at the bottom of my body. So not a big deal, you can start anywhere you want. Inside the script tag, first of all, we'll need to reference this my div. For that, we will write document.getElement by ID. Make sure you take care of the cases. JavaScript is a case sensitive language, and then I've written the ID of the div that I'm trying to reference. inside this I need to change the inner HTML property, and here I'll write some okay. So here I'm trying to manipulate the text inside this and trying to replace this by this string that I've written over here. So let's save this. As you can see that the text inside that div has now been updated to JavaScript coded. So this was the text that we had written in the JavaScript command. So in this way you can actually manipulate the DOM elements using this document.getElement by ID and change the properties. We can also change the styles of this DOM. So it is just like applying the CSS but using JavaScript. So in case you need to dynamically change the colors or backgrounds or anything, you can just simply change the style property of this. So let me just go ahead and let's just try to recolor our text. So I'm fetching this up again, and then we'll put dot style, so that is the style property, and inside that we need to update the color to red. That's pretty sweet and simple. Saving this up, and as you can see that first it updated the text inside the DOM, and then we had actually recolored this using JavaScript. So DOM not only has the properties, but it also has some methods to it. Okay, so these are generally called events in JavaScript, and we can actually perform actions when an event occurs. These could be any simple events like putting your mouse on something or clicking on something, double clicking on something, or it could be any event. So here in this example you can see that when I'll place my mouse over this text, as you can see that it will turn to red, and when I will take my mouse out it will turn to blue. So these are the mouse events, and on the slide number 6 it actually explains the mouse events. So there are multiple types of mouse events that you can find them in this list. Starts from on click and on double click on mouse down. So on mouse down is when you have pressed up, and on mouse move when you are moving your mouse. So there are plenty of them, and how to run them is quite interesting. Okay, when you need to use an event, first of all make sure you write the event and then you call a function in your JavaScript. Okay, so this function that we are calling is color me red, and it will turn the color of this element into red. Okay, so whenever we will move our mouse over, this will be turned red. Alright, so it's very simple. Let me just go ahead into the live editor and show you. So earlier we just defined the color of the text that it should be red, but let me just get rid of it. Alright, so I'll be writing down a p tag, and I'll give an ID is equal to text. Alright, so this p tag, this text is actually having an ID, and we can also get rid of this one also. So right now we are seeing the elements and their events. So I'm trying to change the color of this text whenever I'll put my mouse over on. So for that we will use on mouse over, and here we need to call a function. So we can call our function as color red, and inside the arguments you need to pass this element, so that will reference to the ID of this one. And to perform actions we just need to define a function that is named as color red, and it should accept an argument from our function call. So this will be the ID of the DOM element, and here we can just write that element dot style dot color is equal to blue. So let us save this up and run. Currently you will see that this is only in black color, and when I will put my cursor over this, this will turn into blue. So as you can see that this text is turned into blue. When I'll take my mouse off that, it will still remain the blue in color, bluish color. So for that you will have to write another event that is on mouse out. Okay, so for that you will have to change the color back to red or black or anything. So in this way you can handle the mouse events. On slide number 4 we can see that we also have keyboard events. Those are basically on key down and on key up and on key press. Alright, so in this example you can see that we have written the on key down keyboard event, and it is calling a function that says pressed key. So whenever I'll press a key inside this input box, we'll get a message, an alert message that says a key was pressed. So let me just go ahead and type a character into this. So I'm hitting my keyboard, and as you can see that a key was pressed. Okay, so whenever I'll try to type into this one, it will prompt me an alert message that a key was pressed. On slide number 8 we can see that form events. So there are a lot of events like on blur, on change, on focus. These are all are basically related to the form elements. And suppose we have this input text. So for that you can have on focus, and on focus is the one whenever we try to click on this input box and it goes into the form focus event actually. So there are plenty of events, and calling them is the same way. So you just need to write down the attribute in the form of the form event, and then you just need to call the function up. Alright, so this function basically performs a very basic function of changing the background of the input box. So whenever I'll go into this, I clicked into this input box, so that fired up the on focus event, and it actually changed the background to dark gray. Alright, so here you can find the list of all the form events that you can apply on your input forms. So as we have seen that HTML DOM is actually a tree of elements, and there are relationships between the nodes. Okay, so all these nodes, they're present in the hierarchical structure, and the topmost node is actually called root. So here the root is the window, and this is referencing to the document, to the browser window actually. And to the every node there is a parent. Like for this document node, the parent is the window. For this form node, the parent is actually the document. Alright, so this is a subchild, and all these nodes that are on the same level are actually the siblings, and they can have multiple levels of hierarchy inside them. Okay, so this is just a little bit of tricky DOM tree, and no need to worry about this. Just you can just keep in mind that this is in the tree form, and window is on the top, then the document, and then it comes down to the HTML tags. So we can actually navigate through this DOM tree, and for that we will have to use multiple things like parent node, child nodes, and here you can specify the level of the child node. We can also select the first child or the last child. And siblings also, we can manipulate them using next sibling or previous sibling. Okay, so as you can see that here we have some text written that says we are awesome. Okay, so it has a class of about us, and then we took the content of this into this variable that says about us text, and for that we had used document.getElement by class name, and we actually specified the class name, and under that the child nodes was set to 0 because this was the very first child node, and to fetch the value of it we used the node value property. Okay, so this is basically fetching up the entire text of this written class. Okay, and to show this on the screen we had used document.write, and then we just specified this about us text. Okay, so in this way you can just fetch out the contents of anything using this DOM navigation. You can just navigate through the tree of DOM. In this example, first of all, we have created a variable and we have used the create element property. Inside this we have specified that we are going to create the p tag, and then we have another variable that says document, that is equal to document.create text node, and this is going to actually create a node that says some awesome new text. So this will put the text inside the node. Alright, and for that we will have to append this text to our main element, and for that we have written the element name new paragraph dot append child. So this will actually append the text into this newly created p tag, and then we have another existing div that says, that is over here, lone div, and we have fetched it up using get element by id. Then we have appended the child's new paragraph to it. Okay, so first of all we had created a new element, and then we appended some text to it, and then we fetched up an existing div and appended the entire p tag including the text to this existing div. Okay, so it's a good method to dynamically generate HTML. So slide number 12 is actually a skill assessment. I'm going to skip this up. So far we have learned the code fundamentals of JavaScript actually, so you must have come through a lot of coding by now, right? And you must have found that JavaScript is a really interesting field, and I think that you should give a little time to yourself to code this up and try everything out. In upcoming lessons we'll be doing Ajax, which is an asynchronous version of JavaScript and XML. So we will see that how to do that in upcoming lessons. So this will actually bring us to the end of this video. Thank you.